Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be diving deep into this whole idea of self-usefulness.
Ooh, go self-usefulness.
And you know how being useful to others actually kind of makes us happier?
Right.
We're going to be looking at excerpts from Teru Nakashima's book.
Oh, yeah.
It's called The Textbook of Self-Affirmation that makes you think it's okay no matter what happens.
Yeah.
That's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful, yeah.
And he's a Japanese psychological counselor
Interesting.
with just some really interesting insights.
Cool.
So by the end of this deep dive, you'll understand what self-usefulness even is,
Okay.
why it's so powerful, and how to tap into it in your own life.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting about Nakashima's work
Yeah.
is that he doesn't just present self-usefulness as a nice idea.
Right.
He grounds it in our evolutionary history.
That's what I thought was so cool, too.
Yeah.
It's not just some self-help fluff.
Right.
There's real science behind it.
Yeah.
So how does evolution play into this?
Well, think about it. Humans have always lived in groups, right?
Yeah.
Survival depended on everyone cooperating and contributing to the group's well-being.
Right.
So this deep-seated need to be useful is literally woven into our DNA.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
But how does Nakashima define self-usefulness?
He describes it as this feeling of being valuable
Okay.
and contributing to something beyond yourself.
Okay.
So it could be in your relationships at work, your community, anywhere you feel like you're making a positive impact.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of knowing you matter,
Yeah.
that you're adding value to the world.
So it's not just about being helpful in a practical sense.
Right.
It's about that deeper feeling of
Yep.
I'm valuable,
That's-
I'm needed.
Yeah, and that's where that link to happiness comes in.
Okay.
Remember that long-term Harvard study?
Oh, yeah, the one that followed people for 75 years.
That's that one, 75 years.
Crazy.
It showed that strong social connections are one of the biggest predictors of happiness. Okay. And these connections often come from opportunities to be useful to others.
That makes sense.
Think about it when you're part of a strong community,
Yeah.
whether it's family, friends, or even a shared interest group.
Mm-hmm.
You have more chances to contribute, to help out,
Right.
to be there for someone.
To be useful.
Exactly. And that feeling of making a difference boosts your own self-worth.
So by helping others, we actually end up helping ourselves
Yeah.
feel happier.
It's kind of counterintuitive.
It is a little bit, but I can see how it works.
And there's research to back it up, too.
Oh, really?
There was a 2012 study in Japan
Okay.
that found that people who reported lower levels of self-usefulness also scored lower on happiness scales.
How far to?
It's there's a direct correlation
Yeah.
between feeling useful and feeling happy.
So then why do we resist doing things for others sometimes?
Yeah, you'd think we'd be jumping at the chance to be happier, right?
Uh.
Well, Nakashima argues that despite all this evidence,
Yeah.
we often struggle to be useful just for the benefit of others.
Uh-huh.
We get kind of stuck in this cycle of self-interest
Right.
because our modern world often rewards that kind of behavior.
That's true. We're constantly told to focus on ourselves, our goals, our success.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do we break out of that mindset?
Well, Nakashima argues that humans just aren't wired to thrive on self-interest alone.
Okay.
He uses this great analogy of a flower.
Ooh, I like analogies.
So a flower can't survive just by focusing on its own roots and stem, right?
Right.
It needs to bloom to interact with the sun and the bees.
Yeah, to be a part of the ecosystem.
Exactly, to contribute to the ecosystem.
Yeah,
And humans are the same way.
I love that.
We need to kind of bloom outward to connect, to contribute
Yeah.
in order to truly thrive.
I feel like we've lost sight of that.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in our own little worlds.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's where Nakashima brings in the idea of self-affirmation.
Oh, yeah, he talks about that as saying yes to yourself, right?
Yeah.
But how does that tie into being more useful to others?
Right. It seems like two separate things.
Yeah.
Well, Nakashima explains that self-affirmation isn't about ego
Okay.
or being self-centered.
Gotcha.
It's about recognizing your own worth
Okay.
so you can then freely give to others.
So it's like filling your own cup first so you have something to pour out to others.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Okay.
When you feel secure in yourself, when you genuinely like and accept who you are,
Yeah,
you're less likely to get caught up in self-interest.
that makes sense.
You're more willing to be open and giving because you're not trying to prove yourself.
Yeah, you're not looking for external validation.
Exactly.
So self-affirmation makes you more capable of being truly useful.
It's like a positive feedback loop, right?
Yeah.
The more you affirm yourself,
Yeah.
the more you can give.
Right.
And the more you give.
The better you feel about yourself.
Exactly. And that upward spiral leads to more happiness.
I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
It's not just about like doing good deeds for others.
Right.
It's about this whole mindset of giving freely and authentically.
Exactly.
So how do we actually like cultivate that mindset?
Right. The big question.
Yeah, and increase our self-usefulness.
Well, Nakashima has some concrete advice on that.
Okay, let's hear it.
And it's surprisingly simple, yet powerful.
Oh, I like the sound of that.
But I think we should save that for the next part.
All right, listeners, we'll be right back with some actionable tips on how to boost your self-usefulness and unlock that happiness connection.
Don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. Okay, so we've established that self-usefulness is like key to happiness.
Right.
And that it's rooted in like our evolutionary past. But how do we actually like become more useful, in our modern world?
Right. Good question.
I'm guessing it's not as simple as just offering to like do the dishes more often.
You're right. It's a bit more nuanced than that.
Oh, okay. Nakashima's first piece of advice is to find a group or community where you feel a sense of belonging and where you can contribute in a meaningful way. So it could be like a hobby group, a volunteer organization.
Okay.
Even just being more present and helpful in the circles you're already in.
Yeah.
The key is to find a place where your skills and interests align with what other people need.
So it's not just about doing any helpful act.
Right.
It's about finding the right context where you can actually make a difference.
Yeah, where you can have an impact.
That makes a lot of sense. I know for me, I always feel most fulfilled when I can use my creative skills to help out.
Okay.
Like designing a poster for a local event or helping a friend with like their website.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where Nakashima's emphasis on authenticity comes in.
Oh, yeah.
He encourages us to be genuine in our interactions.
Right.
And to choose communities and activities that like resonate with our true selves. It's about finding that sweet spot where your passions and talents intersect with what the world needs.
That totally resonates with me.
Yeah.
It's like when you're genuinely excited about something, your enthusiasm is contagious.
Totally.
And you end up inspiring other people. It's not about forcing yourself to be helpful. It's about like letting your natural energy flow towards something you care about.
He even talks about cleaning a public bathroom as an example.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Cleaning a bathroom?
I know it might not sound very inspiring.
Yeah, not exactly glamorous.
But Nakashima describes how even this simple act can be a really powerful way to practice self-usefulness.
Okay.
He explains that by like taking a few extra moments to wipe down the sink or pick up some trash, you're showing care for the space and for the people who will use it after you.
Right.
It's a small act of kindness that can have a ripple effect.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
It's about shifting your perspective and seeing those everyday actions as opportunities to make a positive impact.
It's like that saying, no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted.
Totally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it ties back to that evolutionary drive we're talking about.
Yeah.
Even in our modern world, these small acts of contribution help strengthen the social fabric and contribute to the well-being of the group.
It makes you wonder if we've lost sight of that.
Yeah.
That interconnectedness in our pursuit of individual success.
That's a really insightful point.
Thanks.
And it leads us to another important piece of advice from Nakashima.
Okay.
He suggests surrounding yourself with people
who
have a strong sense of self-worth
and
who actively contribute to their communities.
Yeah.
He believes that the people we spend time with have a huge impact on our own mindset and behaviors.
That's so true.
It's like that saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that one.
If you're constantly surrounded by negativity or self-centeredness, it's going to be harder to cultivate your own sense of self-usefulness.
It's like you're absorbing that energy.
Exactly. He's not saying you need to ditch all your old friends or family.
Right.
But it's about being mindful of the energy you're letting into your life.
Yeah, the company you keep.
Exactly. Seek out relationships with people who inspire you.
Okay.
People who are making a difference in the world.
Yeah.
Who lift you up and encourage your own growth.
So it's about creating like a supportive ecosystem
Yes.
where self-usefulness can thrive.
Exactly. And remember, it's not about becoming a selfless martyr or neglecting your own needs.
Yeah.
It's about finding that balance between taking care of yourself and contributing to something bigger than yourself.
Between fulfilling your own potential and making a positive impact.
Exactly.
This is all starting to click for me now.
Good.
So we've got finding the right communities, embracing authenticity, shifting our perspective on everyday actions,
Right.
and surrounding ourselves with the right people.
Exactly.
Any other, like, nuggets of wisdom from Nakashima before we wrap up?
There's one more gem I wanted to highlight.
Okay, I'm ready.
He calls thank you a magic word.
Thank you. What's so magical about thank you?
It might seem simple,
Right.
but Nakashima believes that both saying and hearing thank you can really reinforce this cycle of self-usefulness and happiness.
Now that you mention it, I can see how expressing gratitude could make a difference. When you genuinely thank someone, you're acknowledging their effort.
Right.
And the positive impact they've had.
Exactly.
And when you receive thanks, it reinforces your own sense of worth and contribution.
It's like this powerful way to strengthen those social bonds.
Yeah.
And remind ourselves that we're all interconnected.
We're all in this together.
Right. Even a simple thank you can create this ripple effect of positivity.
This has been incredibly insightful.
I'm glad you think so.
I'm already feeling inspired to take some action.
That's great to hear.
But before we wrap up, I'm curious to hear what Nakashima has to say about the bigger picture.
Okay.
Does he connect this idea of self-usefulness to anything beyond just, like, personal happiness?
He does, and that's where things get even more interesting.
Okay.
Nakashima argues that cultivating self-usefulness isn't just about feeling good in the present moment.
It's about something more.
It's about creating a life of meaning and purpose that extends beyond ourselves.
So it's not just about individual fulfillment. It's about contributing to something larger.
Exactly.
I like where this is going.
And to help you think about that bigger picture, he poses this really thought-provoking question.
Okay, what is it?
If you were to look back on your life, what would you want to be remembered for?
Ooh.
What legacy of usefulness would you like to leave behind?
Wow, that is a powerful question.
Yeah, it really makes you think.
It does.
About your values and priorities.
What kind of impact do you want to have on the world?
Yeah, what mark do you want to leave?
I'm already feeling inspired to do some soul searching.
That's great.
This is definitely something I'll be reflecting on.
I think we all should.
But before I get too lost in contemplation, I think we need to bring things back down to earth.
Okay.
And talk about some practical ways to apply all this wisdom to our daily lives.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we've explored, like, the why of self-usefulness.
Right.
But now I'm really curious about the how. Like, what are some actual things we can do to make this a part of our lives?
Well, Nakashima offers some really practical advice.
Okay.
And it might surprise you how simple it is.
Okay.
One thing he really emphasizes is the power of small, everyday actions.
Okay.
It's not always about, like, grand gestures or heroic feats, you know?
Right.
Sometimes the most meaningful contributions come from those little things. The things we do to just, like, brighten someone's day or make their life a little easier.
Like the bathroom cleaning example.
Exactly.
We were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it's about shifting your mindset.
Okay.
And looking for opportunities to be helpful in just the normal moments of your life.
So, like, what kinds of things?
It could be anything, really.
Okay.
Like holding the door for someone, offering a genuine compliment, helping a colleague with a task, or even just being a good listener.
Yeah, just being present.
Exactly. Those small acts might seem insignificant, but they can really have a ripple effect.
Okay.
Creating a more positive and supportive environment for everyone.
I've noticed that when I feel like the most energized and fulfilled, it's often when I've been able to use my skills, like my own unique skills and passions, to make a difference.
Right. So, like, when have you felt that?
Like when I helped my friend organize a fundraiser for her favorite charity.
Cool.
It was a lot of work. Yeah. But it felt so good to use my design skills, you know, to support a cause I really believed in.
But that's a key point.
Yeah.
Nakashima talks about aligning your actions with your talents and interests.
Right.
When you find that sweet spot where your abilities meet the needs of the world, that's where the magic happens.
It's like everything clicks into place.
Exactly. It's not about forcing yourself to be useful
in
ways that feel draining or inauthentic. It's about finding those opportunities that energize you and allow you to really shine.
So it's like we all have this unique set of tools and talents.
Yeah, like a toolbox.
And our job is to figure out how to use them.
Right.
To make a positive impact.
You got it.
It's not about comparing ourselves to others.
No.
Or trying to be someone we're not.
Be yourself.
It's about embracing our individuality and figuring out how we can best contribute.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that.
And it all comes back to self-affirmation.
Right.
When you appreciate your own worth, you're more likely to see those unique gifts and talents as something to be shared.
Not hidden away.
Exactly.
So if we were to give our listeners, like, 3 actionable takeaways, what would they be?
That's a good question.
What could they start doing today to cultivate self-usefulness?
First, I'd say start paying attention to those small, everyday opportunities. Look for ways to make someone's day a little brighter or their load a little lighter.
Okay. Small acts of kindness.
Yeah, exactly.
What's number 2?
Think about your passions and talents.
Okay.
Where do they connect with the needs of the world?
Right.
How can you use your unique gifts to make a positive impact?
Okay. I like it.
And third, surround yourself with people who inspire you.
Yeah.
People who are actively engaged in making a difference.
Like find your tribe.
Exactly. Their energy and enthusiasm will be contagious.
Those are fantastic tips.
I hope so.
I'm definitely going to start incorporating them into my own life.
Me too.
And remember, listeners, it's not about being perfect.
Nope.
Or achieving some grand feat of selflessness.
Just be yourself.
It's about showing up authentically, offering what you can,
right,
and being open to those small, meaningful moments of connection.
That's what it's all about.
Because as we've learned from Nakashima, those seemingly insignificant acts of kindness and contribution can add up to a life of profound joy and fulfillment.
And don't forget the magic of thank you.
So true.
Expressing and receiving gratitude can really make a difference.
It's a simple but powerful way to acknowledge and appreciate the contributions we all make to each other's lives.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
And on that note, a heartfelt thank you to you, our listeners, for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
Into the world of self-usefulness.
It's been fun.
We hope you found it as insightful and inspiring as we have.
We hope you learned something.
Until next time, keep exploring.
Keep connecting.
And keep making a difference.